Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of PMP practice questions. In particular, this one is from the PMBOK guide, the 7th edition, the absolute latest edition of the PMBOK guide, and probably one that you'll find the most questions around on your PMP exam. So we've got 100 questions, and we're going to do them in little blocks of 10 each, so it's not too much. And this first one is going to be a whole bunch of fun around the principles that really kick off the PMBOK guide 7th edition. It's going to be awesome. Stick with it, and it will really help you pass your PMP as well. Let's get into the first question. You have been assigned to a new project where the work is behind schedule and the team are not working together well. The team is relatively new and conflicts are arising. Team members are blaming each other for the work not done, and some people are not showing up to work on the project at all. Okay, wow, gosh, what will you do next? So it's hard to have a project if we haven't got people coming to work with us. And sometimes this is hard because we've got, we may not own these resources. We may be borrowing them from certain, functional areas in the business or an organization. So what are we going to do here? Okay, meet with the functional manager of that area to agree on team members' time requirements. That could work, but also conflicts are arising and the team is also relatively new. So, how are we going to manage that? I think there's probably better answers there. Meet with your team to set a team charter, and define roles and responsibilities. That one sounds actually quite good because then we're getting into what they're responsible for, what their role actually is. Sometimes that's unclear. And also a team charter, how is the team going to work together? We're starting to move into an agile, agile terminology here. So the vision, the escalation points, team roles, team responsibilities. I actually think that's a pretty good one. Let's see what else we've got. Meet with the project sponsor to gain additional funding for resources who can work together. You know what, even if we change the resources, it's not 100% guaranteed that they're still going to work without conflict. Projects are difficult situations, and so conflict is going to arise. It's up to us to manage it as project managers. It's part of the wonderful job that we have. Last, escalate the issue to the steering committee. Wow, escalating it even further as soon as possible as a project risk. Okay, well, it's already happening, so it's more of an issue. I think, probably it could be a risk, for future scope or schedule issues maybe. But I don't think we really want to escalate this to the steering committee without managing it first. And we manage it by answer B, I think. Let's go with that. There it is. The standard for project management asks that we create a collaborative team environment, including team agreements, definitions of roles and responsibilities, formal committees tasked with specific objectives, so really specific things that they need to do, standing meetings that regularly review a given topic. So all of those things create a collaborative team environment. Page 28 and 29 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition under creating a collaborative team environment. How did you guys go with that one? First one, there's many, many more. It's going to be fun. And also, I think that wasn't too bad. So I think that was a pretty good start. Let's see what we've got next. You have recently completed a project for a new product and have been asked to manage it after its release to keep it relevant in today's marketplace. Sounds like a product owner role or a product manager, perhaps. Half of your existing team are rolling off to other projects. Okay, so we're on a project now, but we need to keep the product relevant. So we need to keep releasing features potentially to make sure that it's up to date. What are we going to do next? The project budget is nearly depleted. I don't think we'll manage this as a project. This is probably something that we go into more of a stable team or business as usual, and then release continuous features. I think maybe again moving into an agile sort of way of work here. Let's see what options we have. Create a business case and a project charter for your project sponsor to approve. That would be if we had a specific project in mind. But I really think this is more about product management here. Retain as many of your current project staff to continue work on the product. That could work, but how are we going to do that? We're going to need money here. These things just don't magically appear. People also may be rolling off the project as they say, and there's no more money to pay them. So unless we can pay them with love, I don't think that one's going to work. Raise a change request for your current project and add scope and continue making changes. Change request, again, Probably not the best. And answer D, I think, is probably where we're heading though. Secure funding for a stable team. That's what we were saying. Then use current research to form a suite of projects to improve the product. So this is where we're continuously releasing features to improve it over time. And we have a stable team, so they become really, really good at that particular product. I think we're going to go with answer D. All right, there it is. This question is referring to product management. Hey, that's good. We got that far. Product management involves the integration of people, data, processes, and business systems to develop or maintain a product or service throughout its life cycle. And of course, over time, it may eventually, finish. The product may be retired, and then we can roll off and move on because we're not needed anymore. Under page 17 to 19, under product management considerations in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, if you want to check that out for yourself. How did you guys go with that one? I thought that was really, really good. Let's see what we got next. You're delivering a critical change, and several key stakeholders in your organization have added seemingly unnecessary steps for you to take with extra approvals, reports, and meetings. They're also restricting the people you need from working on your project in a larger capacity. So again, this is because if we don't own those people necessarily, and they're coming from other functional areas in the business, sometimes we don't have 100% control over those people, and they may not end up working for us full time. What will you do next? So we have to manage that. We have to manage these things, and this is great for the real world as well. Go directly to the people you need to avoid extra back and forth with the stakeholders. So if we go directly to the people that we need, they may agree to come and work for us. We could probably convince them, but then what happens when their boss finds out? And their boss, that's probably going to be a more difficult situation to manage because now we've gone behind their back. I think, that's probably the easiest way, but it just won't work in the long run because of that reason. Raise a risk in the risk register on the lack of access to sufficient resources. Sure, maybe, yeah, we could raise a risk. That's a low maybe though. If we're just raising a risk, how are we going to manage that risk? So, maybe there's a better way here. Communicate more often with the stakeholders and gain a deeper awareness of their ideas and situation. Okay, communicating, always good. It's a large part of project management. Is this going to solve what we're after here? So, they're restricting people. You know what? Communicating, what does communicating do? It helps with people's engagement. This could be an issue with our stakeholder engagement actually. And so if we're communicating more, finding what their ideas are and their situation is, maybe there's good reasons for them restricting the people or slowing down the project, or maybe they just don't feel engaged or involved enough. So communicating always helps there. That's a high maybe for that one. Let's see if there's a better one just in case. Show your stakeholders the resource assignment matrix and project roles and responsibilities. I think that also could be good. So then we're just sort of saying, look, here it is, this is what you agreed to. But the thing is, they may agree to it, but they still may not do it because they're not engaged. So I think if we could win their minds by this, for example, we can force them to do it, but what's that saying? Those convinced against their will are of the same opinion still. So I think if we haven't won their hearts, from that perspective, we need to communicate more often. Let's go with that one. I think answer C. Okay, this question refers to the principle of effectively engaging with stakeholders. Stakeholders may add steps or requirements or restrict team members if they're not engaged appropriately. Communication and awareness of their ideas through knowledge sharing and regular meetings, ideally face-to-face, may help. And this is directly from the PMBOK Guide 7th edition as well. You've got page 32 and 33 under effectively engaging with stakeholders. All right, well, so that was a little bit trickier and a bit of the soft skills there that we need on our projects. Let's see what we got next. You're managing a project team made up mostly of men. Recently, Jane was hired for her high expertise in the brands that make up your industry. Okay, so we've got mostly men, and now we've got Jane. Okay, well, what's going to happen here? Hopefully nothing crazy, but you notice she has been left out of some key meetings, and others are overlooking her opinions. You also notice she is paid significantly less than her male colleagues. What will you do next? Wow, okay, tricky situation this one. And I think for us as a project managers, how do we manage this as managers and leaders? We want to go for fairness, I'm pretty sure, so that things don't come back and bite us down the road, and that people stay engaged and they see that we're acting fairly as well. I wonder if there's an option here. So make steps to update her pay to the same range as the others on your project, and ask her opinion and advice specifically during each meeting, along with others in your team. Well, that covers pretty much everything, doesn't it? So, I don't know, that one's pretty obvious, I think. If we can act in a, that's quite a fair manner. I really like that one. Let's see what else we've got just in case. Take the lower pay as a win for your project, as it will help keep costs low and her colleagues don't need to know. Wow, okay, you know what? And you know what? This will happen in the real world as well. But what happens when people find out? Engagement goes through the floor, and then people leave and they take all that product knowledge with them at the same time, and then you have to hire someone new. Trust me, it's not the best scenario. Definitely a no for that one for those reasons. You have to look at the bigger picture here. Ask Jane to write down her knowledge of the industry just in case she leaves. Yes, we would do that anyway, I think. I think it's good to capture some of that information. But are we still acting fairly? I would prefer to still act fairly here. So no need to rock the boat. This is just how people work in this industry. Again, some people will just carry on with the status quo. In the real world, that will definitely happen. But for us, if we're going to be true leaders, true managers, let's go for the equality here. I think let's go with answer A. Okay, this question is on integrity and stewardship. This is good. We should have respectful engagement of project team members, including their compensation, access to opportunity, and fair treatment. And by the way, this can happen the opposite way as well. It doesn't have to be a man-woman thing. This can be just someone who's not assertive enough to ask for a higher pay. You will see this happen all the time. So just something to be aware of. And when people find out that it's not equal, then that engagement really does plummet, and that's what we don't want. We want things to stay high engaged with our team members. So that's really good. Page 25, be a diligent, respectful, and caring steward. That's a really nice principle. Okay, let's get into the next one. During one of your working group meetings, a stakeholder raises the concern that the product you're working on will be discontinued in the next 5 months. You are not aware of this, and your project budget has already been approved until the scheduled delivery, which is in 5 months also. Okay, hang on. Discontinued in the next 5 months, and we're delivering a project at that 5 months mark as well. That's probably not a good thing. What are we going to do next? Of course, another tricky situation for us to manage using our project management skills. Let's see what we got. Keep the project going as it is. The discontinued product isn't your responsibility. And you know what? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's someone else's responsibility. But also that stewardship thing again. Can we do the right thing here? So let's put a very low, maybe quite a no for this one. Set a meeting with your project sponsor to share the information. Probably good. And a recommendation to terminate the project. Wow, that's quite full on. I guess that makes sense, because it's just, why are we even delivering this? I think that actually does make sense. Let's put a high maybe for that one for now, and see what else we have just in case. Change the scope of the project to meet a different product. Hang on, so your project can remain relevant. You know what? Projects are usually about one set thing. You kick off a project for a particular reason, for a particular improvement or a particular change, and for us to just completely change that halfway through using the same money, I don't think that's really going to work. We probably have to kick off a new project. Ask for additional funding to see if you can improve the product instead of discontinuing it. And again, look, improving it, I think, and additional funding, there's a whole lot of rabbit holes that we'll have to go through for that. And also it may not work because it actually is just being discontinued. We would probably terminate the project and start a new one based on a different set of rules and maybe a different product, or maybe a different scope that we're looking at here. I think under this set of circumstances, let's go with answer B. Okay, These are a little bit tricky actually. So this question is about delivering value, the primary motivator for a project. Exactly. If the project is no longer aligned with the business need or it seems unlikely to provide value, the organization may choose to terminate the effort. Okay, so that's good news. And remember, that's directly from the PMBOK 7th edition, page 35, focus on value. So that's a very good thing to know and understand. Definitely makes sense when I see it like that. So how did you go with that one? I think a little bit trickier there, but still pretty good. And we're halfway through this section, so this is really, really good. Let's see what else we've got. You've collected the requirements for your project and you're creating the scope statement and the work breakdown structure. Scope statement is your acceptance criteria and just a statement about the scope, and the work breakdown structure is breaking down high-level features into smaller pieces and then ultimately to work packages that people can work on. During this process, you notice some functionality in your database system that will help a different project that you're aware of in your project management office. Okay, so we've got our project, another project, and some of our scope over here actually could help this one over here. So what will we do next? Wow, okay, wow, this is really good. Place the feature in the other project's backlog and ask them to prioritize it as soon as possible. So we've done this research on the feature, we just hand it over to them and then they prioritize it. I mean, that's maybe we could do that. I wonder if we can just hand it over like that. Do they even want to do it? Is it even on their scope? Do they have the budget for this sort of thing? So maybe there's more to this tale. Raise the functionality in your risk register as a threat with the response to mitigate. I don't think this is a threat. This is more of an opportunity probably. I wonder if we've got something in here, so definitely a no for that one. Add the scope to your project and complete it as soon as possible. Do we just do it? Well, if we do it, you know, it's not within our product or what we're working on, so our team is not going to be the experts on this. It's probably better if, you know, if the team who are the experts in that product actually complete it, because they'll have the resources specific to that product. So I think that's a no for that one as well. For that reason, raise the functionality in your risk register as an opportunity. Okay, there we go. With the response to exploit, so we're exploiting the opportunity, probably a good thing, and meet with the other project team and sponsor to discuss. I think that actually could be good. So I think if it's between that one and just throwing it into their backlog, I don't think we have the power to put it into another person's backlog. The steps that we would go through first are to talk with them. So we'd say, hey guys, this is an opportunity, we can exploit this, is this something that you're able to work on? I don't think we're just going to throw it over the fence. We need to talk about it first, and I think for that reason, let's go with answer D. Excellent. Systems thinking, wow, okay, I didn't know we were going there, involves taking a holistic view of how project parts interact with each other and external systems. Projects operate within programs, so you've got programs, you've got projects underneath that, and then you've got BAU layer under that, so operations and all of that sort of thing. And so small systems affect all of the larger ones. Finding a previously unknown opportunity, the next best step is to make it known and to exploit that opportunity. And there we are in the PMBOK guide, page 39, respond to system interactions, systems thinking, page 129, and opportunities there in the PMBOK guide 7th edition. All right, that's quite good to know. Let's see what we've got next. You're working on a high-profile project. Several high-ranking senior executives want to take the credit for this initiative while limiting the impact to their own resources. This has led to several conflicts and a scope statement that is unclear, leading to a risk of project failure. What will you do next? Okay, this seems pretty straightforward. Another difficult situation, obviously, maybe something around engagement. Let's see what we've got. Create a scope statement yourself to avoid further conflict. Okay, well, I mean, we can definitely do this, but then what if no one agrees to it? And the customers that we're delivering to, if they don't accept those deliverables, then we're in trouble. So probably a no for now on that one. Facilitate a discussion with the executives as a neutral third party. I like that. And again, this is more of that, facilitator role, that agile terminology that we will see in the PMBOK 7th edition. Focusing on agreed project goals. That's definitely a high maybe for that one, I think. That's pretty good. We'll see what else we've got just in case. limit your project resources to the executives until they can agree on a way forward. I mean, maybe, but also if we've got our project resources, maybe they're sort of still costing money and still costing project funds. So if we're not using any of those resources, then we're also wasting the project funds. So potentially not a good thing. I think probably a no for that one. Escalate the issue to the project steering committee and ask them to resolve the problem. Again, for this, as project managers, we should be managing this as best we can until we've exhausted every single option, and then if we need to escalate it, then we can. So we'll put a no for that one for now. I think out of all of these, the best one becomes option B. Let's see what we've got. Fantastic. Leadership is not the same as authority. When senior managers suffer conflict over priorities, neutral facilitation helps more than detailed recommendations. So we could come up with recommendations for these guys and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. But then again, they haven't agreed to it. It hasn't come from them, so they're not really engaged with those ideas. If we're facilitating and extracting those ideas from them, then potentially we have a better outcome. Leadership acumen involves focusing a team around agreed goals, generating consensus on the way forward, so getting their inputs, negotiating and resolving conflict, and more. All very tricky things to do, all of these soft skills that you will need as a project manager. And page 42, under demonstrate leadership behaviors, a wonderful, wonderful thing in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Fantastic. How did you guys go with that one? I think these are really, really good. Let's see what we've got next. There's only 3 to go in this little section. You're managing a project where the majority of the product has been planned up front, but an external system is needed from a vendor in partial pieces where the requirements are unclear. Okay, so that sounds like Agile, that one, doesn't it? So we've got Agile, but we also have upfront planning. So we've got our predictive or our waterfall. So we've got a few different methodologies here. Which one will we choose, or can we do a hybrid approach? Half of your stakeholders want to use a waterfall approach and the other half are advocating for an Agile approach. What will you do next? Let's see what we've got. I think if we've got both of those, I think we could probably merge those two and create a hybrid approach, and that's quite a common thing to do. So let's see what we've got. Use an Agile methodology. The fixed scope is low risk and you can capture the changes using Agile. I think it's probably a better option. Use a waterfall methodology, okay, so it's either one way or the other, and ask the team to plan the uncertain scope better. Again, I mean, maybe a medium for that one, but not great. There's probably a better option here. Proceed with a hybrid method to start and with pre-planned scope, but Agile ceremonies that promote feedback. I think that's probably one of the better ones. Again, it's that hybrid approach. We can combine them here because we've got 2 differing situations that need differing ways of management. Use a combination of Waterfall and Agile to capture all the requirements and keep stakeholders happy. I think this is really similar to C, except C uses the specific terminology of a hybrid method, and hybrid is where we are combining Waterfall and Agile, but using it only where it's applicable. So I think for all of those purposes, let's go with answer C. All right, excellent. Each project is unique and success is based on adapting to the unique context of the project to determine the most appropriate methods. The tailoring approach is iterative in nature. Okay, wow. So we might actually change our tailoring approach over time, you know, what we include or what we don't include. Is it more waterfall? Is it less waterfall, for example? And this project requires a hybrid of Waterfall and Agile with the option to improve it over time. I think that's actually quite good. So page 44 to 46 under tailoring in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. How did you guys go with that one? So that's a really good one to be aware of. Project life cycles, when to choose them. Lots of hybrid stuff in the PMP exam as well. Excellent work. All right, only 2 to go. You're doing great. You're working on a project where senior users have been testing the product as parts are released. They have found some missing requirements and defects. Okay, good. Their manager is worried that the project won't deliver a product that is fit for purpose without defects and within the time frame needed. What will you do next? Okay, so we've got some defects, we've been testing it. Now the manager is worried about those defects. I think, how do we manage this? Perform some of the testing yourself to ensure a quality product. We may be tempted to do this, but I think the value in a project manager is we're the conductor of the orchestra. So you need a conductor to keep everybody on track and to keep that rhythm going, basically. So everyone has their little sections: trumpets, saxophones, xylophones, percussion, woodwind, all of the rest of it. And they are experts in their area. I don't think we need to do the testing. I guess that's the point there. Help every team member focus on quality, from correct acceptance criteria to a developed and tested product. That's a very broad answer, maybe. I mean, it definitely makes sense, yes. Focusing on quality. Quality is everyone's responsibility in an Agile team. You will hear that said a lot. So let's put that as a high maybe for now. Limit testing until the very end of the project so you can do it all in one go when the product is completely ready. I think for this one, this may not work because, again, in an Agile project, we want to test at all levels. Unit testing on our story cards, system testing for the system as a whole, user acceptance testing with the user's eyes on it, and then even regression testing, where we're testing to see if anything else is broken when we've released a certain part. So I don't think we necessarily just want to limit it to the end here. Increase the testing on your project and add more testing resources so no defect goes unnoticed. Potentially, but again, may not be the best answer. I think actually looking at that, I would choose B over D because now the whole team is focusing on quality. Quality is everyone's responsibility. We're not just throwing resources at it, we're actually managing it like we should. I think let's go with answer B. Excellent work. All right. Quality focuses on meeting acceptance criteria for deliverables and satisfying stakeholders' expectations on product requirements. Quality is everyone's responsibility in an adaptive or agile project. And there you are. You will hear that a lot. So there it is again. Page 47 to 49 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, build quality into processes and deliverables, that section there. And you know what else is really, really good quality is the last question that you've got in this section. And the way that you've gone through this, amazing work. You're doing a great thing for your PMP exam preparation. Let's see what we've got. You are working through the risk assessment with your team who are having trouble coming up with ideas for risks. You decide to give them some guidance on types of complexity that might affect your new product. What will you do next? Okay, risk and complexity. Two wonderful things that you will see or not see, that will definitely be there regardless of whether we can see it or not in your project. Ask them to brainstorm qualitative and quantitative risks. Yes, that could probably work from a risk perspective. But what about the complexity behind that? So what else have we got? Ask them to perform the 5 whys and Ishikawa analysis. That is root cause analysis to find the root cause of a problem. Probably not necessarily related to what we're doing here. Ask them to brainstorm around possible unwanted human behavior, system behavior, ambiguity, and technical innovation impacts. So that way we're gathering risks, but we're gathering risks based on all of these things which are types of complexity and volatility. So you'll see VUCA, volatility, I don't know what that one is. Gosh, now I've forgotten it. Complexity, ambiguity. That one will come to me in time. I can't remember now. If someone remembers, put it in the comments. Save me, please. And last one, ask them to perform a retrospective uncertainty. There it is. I knew it would come. To discover what isn't working well and what still puzzles us. If you beat me to that in the comments, please give yourself a thumbs up at the end of your comment. Well done. And I don't think we're going to go with answer B either. I think D. I think C is definitely the best one there from that VUCA perspective. I absolutely love it. Let's choose that one. And there it is. Complexity is often the result of human behavior, system interactions, technical innovation, uncertainty, and ambiguity. Complexity can be introduced by events or conditions that affect our value, our scope, stakeholders, risk, and more. Which is why working on projects, there is never a dull moment. We always have to deal with these wonderful things, and having a toolkit to do that really, really helps. That's where the PMP is just the best thing to do for your career. Page 50, 51, navigate complexity, and you made it to the last bit of this little section. Well done. I absolutely congratulate you for doing that. And also, I truly, truly believe that you can pass the PMP with this preparation and with all of the work that you're putting in. Keep working at it every day. It's definitely a worthwhile activity, and it's definitely a worthwhile thing when you do get your PMP. I truly believe that you can do it. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.